Hi, I'm George, and these are my younger dads and sons, Liam and Matt. You might know us from the smash hit award-winning supercast, Dad and Sons, which does not contain carcinogen materials known to the state of California. If you have a tip or suggestion that you'd like to submit to the dadatorial board for appropriate behavior, please send a steamed and dressed Periscope to dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com.
Wow.
So hello and welcome for another Dad Week on another dad cast.
I don't know about the carcinogenic bit.
With another exciting dad-tastic day of three of us just goofing the hell off for an hour and a half.
Speaking of, I just found a hair in my water, and now I'm severely disappointed. I have to sit here for 2 hours with water that I want to drink that has a hair in it.
You gotta be careful about that. I got the itis this week. My voice is scratchy. Dude, do you guys want to hear something real gross?
Absolutely. Let's
Yes.
start off the podcast with that.
I had about a good day of a crusty green discharge coming out of my left eye this week.
Wow. Did you like skeet it out onto your keyboard? Just like
No. I was very, very diligent. You know how diligent I am about like keeping the poo particles out of my system, right?
Right.
I made sure to wipe it out with like a soft, wet paper towel, very gently with concentric circular motions that were full of positive energies to reset my eyes chi back to a more neutral vibe. Anyways, it's called bacterial conjunctivitis, and apparently it can be a symptom of the common cold. I went to the back of my insurance card and called the number on it, told a robot on the other end very personal details about my life, who then connected me to a human that I told more very personal details of my life with, who then connected me to another human that wanted to hear the same details again. About 30 minutes later, I finally get a hold of a nurse on my insurance card's so-called hotline for nurses. They're supposed to have nurses that you call your symptoms with, and they're supposed to refer you to which particular expert you want. And she was just like, oh, that's just bacterial conjunctivitis. You just want a regular doctor, so I'm going to send you to the local clinic. I do that. I go there. I fill out the exact same very personal information on their forms, and so the three people on the phone who wanted it.
Wow.
Wait around for 20 minutes, get a hold of a doctor who comes to the back of the room and makes awkward eye contact with me for a solid 2 minutes while he examines my eyes. And
was it awkward or did you make it awkward?
it was probably me that made it awkward. You know, it's
Probably does this all the time.
Yeah, and it's really just like
You don't want to look into
outdated social habits.
Yeah.
This is like the nudity in Japan when I went to the onsen and how I had to get over that. I felt a similar moment when me and the doctor locked eyes together.
and then he smirked just a little bit.
And
as
he
he
said-
put on the
And
gloves.
I tried
Get
to
naked.
steer away from his longing gaze, but he said, "No, excuse me, George. This is a medical situation. Please look me in the eyes." And at that moment, I knew that the two of us would never work out in the end.
That was the most dad story we've ever had on Dad and Sons, to be fair.
Oh god.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored.
It was the most dad-like, I should say.
If you want to like bring it back down a bit, I'll say that morning when I woke up, I actually could not open my left eye. It
Can't
had
wait for the
crusted
prostate
shut.
story in like 20 years.
Matt,
I don't know.
can
Depending
you
on how
picture-
my diet is right now.
Matt, can you picture the same thing I'm picturing, which is just George walking around the house with like a snake eye patch on, screaming at why his eye doesn't work in a typical George
Yeah.
fashion, like, God damn it, why is my eye not working?
Oh no. Oh, you brought back Metal Gear.
Oh shit!
God damn. I'm pretty sure there was nothing on the dock about Metal Gear and you brought it back. God damn it. Let me do a quick little search. Nope.
You know, after Metal Gear survives, someone has to keep it
Well,
surviving.
if you control F for Metal Gear, there actually is something on this docket that does barely, like, indirectly.
God damn it. There's one mention of Metal Gear. One in the entire dock.
Yes, all going according to my Kikaku.
You can tell George writes the plans because if you control F, there is Metal Gear, and also there is a story about VR or like Gabe Newell that is like a page longer than the fact that Nintendo had one of the better directs they've had in fucking ages, which is like a one-sentence line. It's such a George plan.
Was it one of the better directs, though? It was like...
Yes.
What makes it one of the better directs?
You want to get into the news right this instant?
What if we knock this one out ahead of time? Since we're here
Let's
anyway.
knock an important one. Yeah,
Let's knock the one sentence out.
The one that we have a fun argument about.
So... getting aside the fact that they revealed something alluding to one of their biggest IPs, you know,
everyone was expecting Smash to get there eventually.
Everyone's been expecting Smash for every direct since the Switch was at launch.
Yeah.
You can't just particularly pick out.
It's about time.
But you can't take away from the bomb that Smash drops, and especially with a teaser like that, which was one very not Nintendo-like. Two was kind of fun because you have these kind of very bright, colorful characters in the like little Inklings. Then having the Dark Souls-esque fires.
But then shit gets real.
Which is, you know, spurned on a fantastic new meme, I will say. I've enjoyed seeing lots and lots of photoshopped pictures of the Inkling's eye looking at strange and wonderful weird shit. So you can't... It's like if Zelda got announced or Mario got announced. You know, Smash Brothers got announced. That is huge in itself. And then everything else on top of that was like, if you own a Switch, yes, there is this kind of stigma at the moment that's going about the Stitch with the whole everything's being ported to it. But like, what the fuck is wrong with that? Like, who doesn't want to have the choice of all of these great games to play on the Switch? The Switch is amazing for the capabilities of being able to play it portably anywhere. Like games like Captain Toad Treasure Tracker coming back because no one played it on the Wii U, which is a shame because that game's great. Having, you know, the South Park game that I haven't played yet coming to the Switch so I can play it anywhere like I like doing with RPGs. You have Undertale for people who haven't played that. Now they can play it on the Switch, which I think is like super great. And on a side note, being able to port Game Maker games to the Switch for me is now like a huge deal. And you've got stupid dumb shit like Crash, which I don't particularly care about, but that's crazy in itself. And like on top of all that, you have all the other indie cool stuff that's happening around it. You have the new Kirby game. That was a great direct. And like it puts to rest the fears people had about Nintendo having like pretty much the year of the Switch last year and dominating video games in terms of like Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild. And yeah, you don't have like that big of a year going on. Still make this direct and the previous one with the Dark Souls announcement and stuff like that makes 2018 look pretty fucking good. And the fact that you get like a Celeste amiibo just to like top off the crazy icing, it's pretty damn good. You can't say that was not a good direct, or in general, just like full of good announcements if you own a Switch. Like that's why it's more than a one line thing in George's damn keikaku of a document.
I mean, I don't disagree with any of that. It's just it just kind of sounds like business as usual to me. Like good news about the Switch getting a good roster of good ports. The cute little amiibo is something extra, but I mean, Smash was something that I was expecting to happen sometime this year. So that for me was just something
we talk about, like, in
saw
the video games
coming.
industry, we talk about games companies fucking up far too often. EA, Konami, Ubisoft, you know, unholy amount of companies just fucking shit up all the time. The fact that you could just say business as usual for Nintendo being like really cool
for the past
shit
year, yeah,
is like awesome. And that doesn't take away from the fact that it was a good direct. Like, just
well, you also know that I don't like doing the hype thing, so I like deliberately pull myself down from where you are at anyway.
Seriously?
Yeah,
you're gonna go there considering about what you're gonna talk about today?
I am crossing my arms right now.
You massive hypocrite. And for the message,
What do you mean?
For the message you sent, we can segue right into it, Georgie boy. For the message you sent me today saying, I bought a PlayStation VR. It's the best and the most amazing thing ever. I feel like a kid again. Everything is glorious. Fuck everything other than the PSVR. That's pretty much what you sent to me, wasn't it, George?
Well, I'm sorry that was like after I had already made the purchase and experienced it inside of my hands instead of getting this excited by like the marketing for a not yet existing product.
Like, that's like,
Yeah, I know, and I'm happy with it. It's nice. Although I had
And to be fair, you can get on the hype train because you've already played all of the games that got announced.
But that actually... No, God damn it, because now I can just say, but I've already played them, so...
Yeah, but now you can play them on the bus.
Okay, you want to know one really, really stupid fanboy hype optimism thing I'm doing right now?
Yeah, well, yes.
Bluepoint announced that they're doing another large-scale remake now that they wrapped up their Shadow of the Colossus remake project, and that just has me like crossing my optimistic fanboy ass fingers that it's going to be Metal Gear Solid 3 because
the thing I saw
Bluepoint
is
did the MGS.
Everyone was like, "It's Demon Souls! It's Demon Souls!" Like immediately, that's what I saw. I don't know where they got that idea from.
Based on what? Yeah, I mean, my logic is that
well, what's yours?
MGS3 still can generate a lot of buzz. Bluepoint did the MGS HD collection.
Okay.
Konami did just
really
recently. They did a damn good job at it.
Yeah.
Konami did recently put out a NVIDIA Shield port of MGS3, which uses the Tegra chip, very similar hardware to the Switch. And also, of all the games that Konami, like, digs up from its grave to resurrect for disgusting new versions, MGS3 is evidently, tried and true, the one that'll get them lots and lots of coverage.
Yeah, but do we really want it?
I want some kind of Metal Gear Solid 3 machine on my deathbed.
You can just have the really good, like, HD Vita one. That was the best one.
The Vita one will be the one. I don't know if the 3DS one will be the one that I keep on my deathbed, but if they make like a solid ass portable version of the HD version of MGS3 Subsistence, I want to die with it.
Wait, was that not the Vita one that was part of the Xbox 360 collection? Because that was a really good port too.
Oh yeah, it might too, but then I'd need a reason to buy a Vita other than that.
Nate, when it comes to your deathbed, hopefully the Vita, you could probably find one in a bin. If you couldn't already.
And in like a landfill.
Yeah, a landfill full of Vitas.
I feel like we just pissed off a huge contingent of Vita fans.
The Vita's awesome, but, now the Switch is out. It's pretty much redundant.
Anyways. What do you guys got?
I finished Celeste.
Hey!
You didn't finish it, George, did you?
No, I kind of actually fell out of Celeste. I've been spending more with Into the Breach.
Both games I suggested. Both games you're playing. I like this. I like this very much.
Well, I would say Celeste really brings it home at the end. God dang.
Yes, Matt. Redeem me further, Matt. Redeem me further.
I don't know. I was kind of like you, Georgia. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. But really, they start using all of the stuff you learned. I like games like that, where they teach you a bunch of mechanics and then they like throw it all at you at the end. What have you learned? And
time for the test.
It's great. It's satisfying. The only problem, like, I would recommend people who don't like the analog stick to use the buttons instead, because God, the analog stick was the majority of my deaths.
Really?
Every time I would aim Celeste, yeah. Every time I would aim, not Celeste, Madeline, in a certain direction, I wanted to go straight or whatever. I'll always aim up and straight.
There was sometimes where I don't know whether it's like a fallback from the fact that when they made Towerfall, it was 8 directions. It wasn't 360 completely. It was like false 360, where it is only 8 directions in which you could like fire the arrows. But there was times, because of kind of how diddy the Joy-Cons can be, that I feel like I was aiming sort of diagonal right, but it was just straight up, and Madeleine would jump straight up. But then I would like give the little button D-pad a go, and I'd be like, ugh, no way.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good at first. I had to get used to it, but there was like no other way. In those ending sequences, I was like, okay, I need precision here. I can't deal with this analog stick because it's gonna frustrate me. Because it was. Yeah. And I was just getting ready, like, I'm just gonna put this down. But no, like, if you want her to go up, and you just don't have to worry about aiming it, that you're pressing up on those buttons. That was just way better. After I did that, the whole ending sequence was just a lot better and a lot smoother. Some of those strawberries get ridiculous at the end. And I think the strawberries is like no. I was just like, nah, I'm good. After that, I was like, when you got to like the last 2 stages, you're like, ooh, some of these are getting a little crispy. I think I'm gonna come back to this if I feel I'm up to it.
I had fun, but yeah.
It's one of those, like, I feel like the strawberries are definitely like part of the game, especially, I don't know, like it added more to the game for me, especially in the first half of the game. Near the end, it starts getting ridiculous, and you have to have patience, and I wanted to finish it before today, so I went ahead and just like passed by some of those strawberries that were just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was absolutely ridiculous, even though it always seems at first that it's ridiculous, but it is actually very doable, because of just how the game is designed. It's amazing, I would say. I wouldn't say the game as a whole is like the greatest thing ever or anything like that. I wouldn't say it's like, I'm not into this type of thing where like hard platform games, I'm cool at it, I'm decent at it, but it's not necessarily my go-to. But I really enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah, man.
And design was
damn good.
Design was good. Like each little pocket or each floor or whatever you want to call it, each scene. What do you call that? Each scene was just like drastically different, pushes you in different ways. It is quite spectacular, man. They put some love in that game for sure. But yeah, that's Celeste. Other than that, I watched some Netflix. That's pretty much it.
What did you watch on Netflix?
Well, I've been going down the hole for the past month. There's been a lot of anime garbage, man.
Oh boy.
Oh,
There's just been
Someone called Doogly.
There's just been like, have you? Of course you're not on Netflix much, Liam. But like, there has been real life movies of Full Metal Alchemist, for instance, and
is that out?
Erased. Yeah.
I bet that's so bad.
You're talking
It's
about the live action
awkward.
shit, though. We all know, as a general rule, live action anime films are fucking garbage.
It
Oh, but I had so much fun with the Death Note one. That was such fun garbage.
Oh god,
Oh,
it's so garbage. If you actually like Death Note, ugh.
But Death Note was more of a English thing, right? Wasn't it like shot?
Yeah. It was an American. Remake.
Yeah, these are
Japanese
shot with Japanese people.
No, there is actually a Japanese live action Death Note movie that came out like 10 years
Oh
ago.
yeah, and it's okay. Like I've seen it. It was a perfectly fine movie.
It was okay. It had the guy from Battle Royale in it. It was fine.
George, you gotta stop saying that you've seen the live actions and not watched the series. You gotta stop. You have to stop.
But it's such a big time investment.
Yeah, but it's fucking worth your
Jesus
wait instead of
freaking-
wasting 2 hours. You could watch 6 episodes of an anime in that time.
Oh my gosh. It makes you like, I want to choke you like a rubber chicken, George.
You can watch 6 episodes of a good series instead of watching one shitty anime live action film. Like if you watch 3 shitty live action anime shows or movies, you could watch literally a whole series. Come on, George.
Yeah. But yeah, most of it is garbage. I don't recommend watching any of the anime. This 3D animation thing that they're doing nowadays looks kind of dumb.
There was a show, there was a series that Netflix did an original of that had like that weird 3D animation. I can't remember what that series was called though. It was like in space and humans get harvested.
Blame, right? No.
And some control mechs. I forget what that show was called.
That sounds like anime.
Blue? No, that's old. Blue Gender is old. Never mind.
Wait, what was it
That's not
called?
3D.
Wait, Blue Gender.
Yeah, Blue Gender.
It wasn't Blue Gender.
I watched a long time ago. Yeah, that was regular. Yeah, that's way back.
I forget what it was called. It was
Wow.
It was maybe 3 or 4 years. Oh, Knights of Sidonia. That was it.
Oh man,
That had like 3D weird animation. It was the first season of that was okay, but I never watched the second. But the first series.
I guess they didn't know how weird Blue Gender sounds in English.
Blue Gender. I can't remember if that series was actually good. I remember enjoying it as a kid, but as you know, as like a teenager, you liked a lot of anime back then, and anime wasn't like filthy as it is now. And just the amount of garbage that is just out here, like like if you ever watch, for instance, if people in the audience have watched Blame or what's another one that came out that I watched a little bit of, like Godzilla, like it's just like just
These are mostly
there.
We have to do.
It's
like,
just
it's mostly
it's
live action
basic.
shit though.
It's not live action. It's just like 3D animated, like new anime stuff, and it's just the most basic cartoon crap. You know, like just
It's so weird.
I just don't understand
like
why it's
pumping
being
them.
made.
And they're like pumping them out like as well, which is super weird because I don't know whether it is like there is a huge market for like Japanese companies to like shill them to Netflix and make shit and turn a profit compared to like the really kind of, you know, small Japanese market and TV market here. There isn't like stuff like Netflix in Japan in terms of like anime, so I guess they only have like the option of showing it on TV or releasing Blu-rays, so I guess Netflix is a good outlet. But like there's like live action movies or shows for like Mob Psycho already, and that only came out like a year and a half ago. There is like Erased, there's a live action for Erased, which is a fucking amazing series.
I watched that, and I watched a little bit of that live action, which they shot it just like the anime, at least the first few scenes, and I was like, wow, interesting.
Oh man, and I mean, there's good shit. The Castlevania series was all right. The Devilman Crybaby, I like that. That was good.
Oh god.
But then you get
that's one of the better ones, but Jesus.
Yeah. But then you get dumb.
Shows.
You get super dumb shit like that Jaden Smith anime. What was that called?
Oh
Neo
no, I gotta
Yokio.
watch that.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that.
Oh,
What?
God.
What? Jaden Smith?
It's
What?
actually as stupid as it sounds. I can't believe that I actually know one of these things you're talking about, and it's the Jaden Smith
Of
one.
course
How
you
garbage
fucking
am
do.
I?
Like, I'm looking at like Netflix right now, and I'm looking at all the stuff that you could watch. There's like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. You could watch Gurren Lagann. You could watch Kill la Kill. Oh, you could watch Fate Stay Night. There's so much good
Guess-
stuff, and you watch crap, George. Come on, George. You could do
I'm
better.
not going to inspire much confidence. I did watch a thing this week. I
Oh,
watched
God.
Captain America Winter Soldier.
How was that?
I thought it was okay. Well, I was really looking forward to this one because of the Metal Gear influences, and I feel like I got it. I spotted it. There's like shots in the beginning of of him jumping out of a cargo plane with the camera like swooping from under to over and shaking violently in the wind. It's like the opening of MGS3. There's this heartbeat timed musical motif where it goes boom boom wow, boom boom wow, like MGS1 does when characters are talking about Muff. There's 3 PAL cards that show up in the end with like the same arrangement and visual motif as the ones from Metal Gear Solid, and there's actually a scene where a villain explains a decades-long master plan via a fade-to-black slideshow of like barely animated concept art with a sepia tone to it. It's like the most blatant reference to the very, very worst of Metal Gear Solid's writing and style of dialogue that I thought was hilarious. But then the movie devolved into action figures slapping against each other for the last third, and I don't. It was just like Black Panther. It ends with a 20-minute long fight scene of like Star Wars prequel trilogy better. Action. It does look better.
The budget was there.
Yeah. The
thing is, if you're gonna let me watch a comic book movie, let it be a comic book movie and let it be fun. And I think that the rest of the Marvel movies are actually fun.
I think I did like it better than Black Panther, but I still am not blown away by these things, which I think is the idea.
You also don't watch good things, though. That's the thing. You like garbage, George.
Sometimes I get a good garbage, though. Like, I don't want to call Red Line garbage, but Red Line was, yeah. And, I don't want to call the Disaster Artist garbage, because that was just only okay.
I feel like if drugs were legal, George, you would take it. Like, you would take drugs and watch movies. I don't know, like, is that accurate? Like, I feel like you would just like get high.
What, me get high and watch movies? Never.
Just watch garbage like Steven Seagal's Library. Just go right through it, you know, like the sniff a line of cocaine, you know, with the lady friend, and just go wild.
When I eventually
Jean-Claude Van Damme, you know?
When I eventually at some point come to America to stay with George or some shit and hang out, I'm going to force you to watch Gurren Lagann, at the very least. At least the 2 OVA.
And I will probably
series?
have fun.
Not the whole series. Like, if he can't sit still like a child, I'll just make him watch the 2 OVAs.
I did settle down in the couch with the lady friend and consume mind-altering experiences through the PlayStation VR head-mounted display entertainment product brought to you by your friends at Sony Computer Entertainment. I freaking love this thing so much. Oh my god.
The hype train has pulled up.
There was a $170 sale on this on eBay with the code they were pulling last Friday. I ordered one. I wagged my tail for the whole weekend. It finally arrived on Monday. And so I got the lady friend over, and we just like
and then
put
you played
this thing
the
on
dating
and went,
game, right?
whoa. Which one's the dating game?
The game you made me play.
Oh, 360 Date with Ren Ishikawa, yeah.
You played that immediately.
I have not yet made my Japanese PSN Store account for DOA X3 and 360 Date with Ren Ishikawa, but that'll come. And in the meantime, it comes with a really lame demo disc. I tried to get it set up on my computer, and I couldn't get that working, but apparently you have to only run it without Steam running, which I didn't know about, so I'm still working on that. But, my god, I had us run through the demo disc. We tried out a headbutting soccer game called Headmaster that turned out to be kind of lame, but the thing that like convinced her was the Harmonix Music Visualizer, where you get shot through a kaleidoscopic wormhole of shapes and colors timed to the beat of music that you load into the program. There was the puzzle game by Double Fine called Gnog that is a virtual reality puzzle box toy that you play with very tactile interactions with the hand controllers. That was way cooler than I thought it would be. I had to run through the London heist. It's always hilarious watching people like goof off and pick the nose of these scary looking gangsters, like yelling curses in your face. And the Star Wars X-Wing demo. I bought a used copy of Battlefront. About an hour after I set this thing up, I ran to my local GameStop and bought a used copy of Battlefront so I could bring it home and wait for 2 hours for all the updates to install and play just the VR side mission they included with it. And God almighty, that game is lazy and rushed as fuck, but the X-Wing model they have is amazing, and I was geeking the hell out. I think I was just, like, giggling like a baby throughout the whole process. I can't believe I know which button on the X-Wing cockpit is the hyperspace engine drive button. It's real detailed, and I was having the time of my life. And I can't wait to hop back on it after I finish this podcast.
VR. Are you truly living in the... Ready Player One world?
I hope not. That movie looks like, well, I have a little bit of faith in Steven Spielberg. But that book was annoying as shit to read. What a unlikable main character.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're getting really close. Like, Disney released, like, that Star Wars VR experience where you strap on a backpack and you just walk around in VR. It's pretty dope. Stuff like that is pretty dope.
I think it's super dope. I can't wait. I think it's still on track. I don't know. Apparently the PSVR is super duper popular and is still selling well, and it's got the library for it. It's surprisingly all right quality for a headset for as low of a price as I bought it. I still had to buy the wand controllers extra, which I believe were $30. So 170, it was about $200. I believe last year the same kit would have been about $330. But it finally got within my stingy ass price range, and Resident Evil 7 is on the way. I'm gonna get so spooked, you guys.
I gotta see you piss your pants a couple times. Definitely.
Oh my god.
Definitely.
I did the kitchen demo in VR, and that was enough. That was
I gotta see what you gotta tell me what you think about that the blacking out thing, where they just turn the screen black instead of showing you what happens to your character
in VR.
Yeah, VR. I want to see how natural it feels, because when you're seeing it, you're like, oh, why did they do that? I want to see how natural it feels after that.
I wonder if you can turn it off. Was that something I noticed in when we played it in New York?
Yeah. You're like, oh, why did they turn it off?
Yeah.
But now that you're like more in, I thought that was months ago. That was a year ago. But now you're in there.
It's finally time.
Yeah. Over a course of 9 hours or so, I wonder if you're going to even care that they don't try to make you sick.
We'll see.
I would like to know how it feels to watch your own hands be like hacked off with a chainsaw. That'll be intriguing.
It's surprisingly convincing how accurately like desk games like I want you to die and Job Simulator and in the various portions of the London heist that have your hands make you convinced that your hands are freaking there. Like you squeeze the controller and your hand in the game just squeezes to like the same extent. There's nice little tactile thumps that give you a sense of weight on those controllers.
I can definitely imagine, because I remember the first ever VR experience I had was with the Oculus Dev Kit 2, and it was the like roller coaster, like medieval thing that was super popular at the time.
Oh yeah,
and that truly,
and you can feel your gut drop.
Yeah, that truly made my knees feel a little weak and wobbly. So I can certainly imagine the sensation is pretty strong. Man, I have like just apart from like at trade shows and stuff, my like VR experience is just so small. And VR's been out for like 3 years now. It's crazy.
I can finally play Super Hot.
Super Hot.
Oh wait,
I can't wait.
Oh, that's right.
You not played
all the way through instead of just coming over and just playing a couple matches.
Ah.
Yeah, boy, the best VR game ever made, son.
And there's more.
I feel like I'm missing out.
There's still more announcements coming. There was just another recently announced game named Firewall 0 Hour at
now, if that ain't the most cliche military game I've ever heard of.
PSX. It sounds like it's my jam. It sounds like Rainbow Six Siege in VR. The developer was talking about how he wanted players to like develop hand signals and communicate about their surroundings and peek in unconventional spots that you wouldn't be able to shove your face into on a normal control scheme. And it is like military. It's like Onward for consoles, and I'm wondering if that ends up streamlining a lot of Onward's cumbersome comprehension into a more faster-paced, palatable multiplayer game. So that's something I'm going to be looking forward to as well. It uses the same gun as Farpoint, which is on the way as well. The $70 Farpoint plastic gun peripheral bundle.
You're getting the gun as well, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
and there were no sellers on Amazon giving it away for used that day at a competitive price. The used version was like $1 cheaper. And I tried to order most of my stuff used, but sometimes it's just not competitive. Thank you, patrons. I'm so freaking excited. I would sound more excited if my voice hadn't decided to kill me this week.
Yeah, your message, as I said, you massive hypocrite, was full of giddy glee and the use of "I feel like a kid again." I haven't been this excited about games since I was a kid. Was not hyperbole, it seems.
Well, no, it wasn't. Like, I remember this feels like the first time I'm playing with the console that feels and looks and sounds fundamentally different from what I'm used to. And that's a sensation, like opening a box like that with something like that inside is a sensation that I don't think, now they're hammering on my wall, that I really don't think I felt since I wrapped open the N64 and played polygonal 3D games with a dual-pronged controller for the first time.
Oh man, now I'm feeling jealous.
The living room was alive with excitement.
It does sound
in ways that I usually associate with childhood Christmases.
Nah.
What has changed? Why the sudden interest in PSVR now?
Well, last year at MagFest was when that got triggered in me when I was playing with Thomas Trong's PSVR for a few days. And I don't know if you remember like how excited I was back then, seeing that there was like a game library of AAA quality demos at least. I played Res Infinite. The London Heist, I think, is actually what got me. That thing is made of a quality that a lot of the HTC and Oculus demos on PC at the time had yet to match. And seeing like a real expensive, high-budget, cinematic, high-quality, good graphic experience in which I could actually use my hands to interact with the world and goof off in ways that make sense. Like I was able to juggle physics objects in my hand while interesting gameplay challenges were happening. Got me. That's what got me, was playing PSVR at MagFest. Not this year, but last year. I've been looking to buy one ever since, especially after those few hours with Resident Evil 7. Which
I will admit,
I had a blast with.
It is special every time because my chances and like experiences with it are so few and far between that last year when I played the Zone of the Enders VR experience for the first time at TGS, that was like mind-blowing. It wasn't a very good demo because, as you can imagine, in Zone of the Enders you're camera cutting all the time to auto-target onto different enemies, so it's super jumpy and just makes you feel sick, and it's kind of not good for VR. But in terms of like sitting in the cockpit of like Jehuti and looking behind you out of like the window of the cockpit up at a giant mech, and the mech is to scale to your body, is fucking cool.
Oh, scale is real important.
Scale is the best.
In the Star Wars VR demo on your X-Wing, you fly past giant asteroids and giant Star Destroyers that look very, very big. But at the end of the demo, your X-Wing hyperspaces out into the orbit of some gas giant planet, and it's just an orange disk floating in an empty space in the renderer. But it is to planetary scale in comparison to the character. And when I turned my head over my shoulder and saw just like a slight curve of a giant circle that was an entire planet in comparison to my own body, like I had a little quiet moment of reflection. And I've heard a friend who said that he described his experience using Google Earth in VR as a religious experience. And that's something that I was never able to understand why. And now I'm wondering if you have some sort of massive, like, realization of how small planet Earth is, something that only astronauts have been able to talk about before. When you load up Google Earth in VR, point it at your house and just zoom all the way out to outer space to see where you are on the globe that we all are on. And I'm wondering if, like, a new generation of kids, this is like the futurist sci-fi 70s Cold War era sci-fi author in me speaking, but I wonder if we're, like, about to raise up a new generation of kids who become some kind of, like, proto-hippie world peace loving VR sycophants because they're able to get that experience of knowing what a planetary scale looks like in comparison to their own body at a very young, impressionable age.
I've had people on Final Games choose like the Google VR thing before, and every time they tell me about it, it just sounds like the most incredible thing ever. And
I really hope there's a PSVR version. If not, I'm going to try like hell to hack it on the PC.
Maybe you should have got it on PC. Sorry.
That Smarch weather, it's getting all of us.
Yeah. Sorry, I have some green goop coming out my mouth.
Oh no, don't get the crusty green discharge coming out your left eye.
Did you kiss George's eye or some shit?
Yeah, a little bit of tongue, but it's okay.
Oh
God. After George's very apt and detailed description, that is a gross image.
Oh gosh.
So we're gonna get well soon in the future. And the future occurs after this break.
Sunday, and Saturday. It's the 9th annual Dallas Mower Expo. Be there as the biggest names in mowers, hedgers, and clippers on hedgers and clippers on hedgers and clippers on Sunday. Cutting technology. Sea King. Oil paintings, Sea King. Don't miss the Dallas Mower Expo. Be there.
Great.
Hello and welcome back to the Super Bunny Hop Super Dad and Sons Supercast, featuring your big dad and your little dad and your sons. Which one are they though? I don't know.
Maybe Trump knows. He knows
Maybe
everything.
because
he knows about video games. He's like the expert.
He does this thing where he claims to be the expert on some things, but then gets put on the spot and ends up not saying a whole lot, as was the case this week when Trump's meeting with video game executives and critics had finally happened. Oh, I so wished to be a fly in this room. I so wished to have a fly view of this room, but alas, no audio or video recording has been released to the public. What we have instead are second-hand accounts from the people themselves, as reported by the press. So, the attendants were Mike Gallagher, the president of the ESA. We got the president of the ESRB. The CEO of Take-Two showed up, which was an interesting choice because that's like the representative of the most scapegoated, most controversial video game out there. And Robert Altman, president of ZeniMax, showed up. Maybe he pitched Trump on a new version of Skyrim. On the critics, the other end of the fence, there was Brent Bozell, who founded a conservative activism group named the Parents Television Council. Melissa Henson, also of the Parents Television Council, was there with Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman, who writes books talking shit about video games that have names such as On Killing, The Psychological Cost of Learning to Kill in War and Society. Along with Senator Marco Rubio, there's Vicky Hartzler, who's representing Missouri, and Martha Roby, who is a Republican representing Alabama. They supposedly talked about measures to limit and regulate the sale of violent video games to minors. However, quotes from Trump himself are in the ether. According to Bozel, Trump said that he was being communicated to a need for much tougher regulation of the video game industry, stressing that violent games needed to be, quote, given the same kind of thought as tobacco or liquor, quote, which is not a Trump quote. That's a Trump from Brent Bozel, founder of the Parents Television Council.
Okay.
The ESA guy said that they just basically discussed studies in science, discussing that there was no causal link. Melissa Henson said that it was respectful and contentious. There's, like, no quotes from Trump himself here, and I'm pretty sure he did that thing where he just kind of, like, crossed his arms, sat silently, and shook his head as people talked to him, which I'm sure we've all seen videos of.
Can before we just, like, get into it, can we just talk about, like, how shitty the choices were for participants on the video game side of things? To CEOs of video game companies, to people that...
No one here has PhD next to their name.
Only people who care about money in the business and how it will affect them if age ratings come in. No people
These aren't
who
scientists.
No people who have, studies, as you said, PhDs. No one who has studied, like, the correlation between violence in video games or mental health, video games affecting mental health, or anything like that. On the second hand, no one to defend video games in a more artistic manner as to why video games can be important to people with mental health who maybe struggle with autism or social anxiety and depression and stuff like that. And just the fact that they had Strauss Zelnick, CEO of Take-Two, and the Robert Altman, president of ZeniMax, like Fallout and
basically
GTA.
The one percenters of the video game industry.
Like, people who literally couldn't represent less. Like, they don't represent anyone. They don't represent any video gamer at all. They just represent companies that make money from people who buy AAA video games. It just gets from bad to worse.
So, on top of there being this weirdly secondhand account of Trump not saying anything, they also assembled a montage of video game violence that I guess some staffers at the White House stole from such illustrious sources as Dat360 No Scope on YouTube. And also, which appears in the corner of a video on the White House's official YouTube channel.
And also Giant Bomb, right?
Oh yeah, they were very, very diligent with citing their sources, so there was no fears of impropriety there. A guy at the White House got on YouTube, set Bandicam running, and just typed in the bar "killing civilians video games," and went through a montage of what they found, much of which was like surprisingly palatable stuff, like Call of Duty deaths with no gore, just like blood splashes.
And killing Nazis, because, I mean, killing Nazis is obviously going to create,
very offensive.
Very bad people, people who potentially, if they are influenced by video games, people who might go out there and kill the Nazis, and Trump doesn't want that, obviously. Like, they're his allies, He doesn't want people killing Nazis. On top of this...
There's only about 6 games in this montage, and they're all, like, the super hard M. Some of them aren't really that commercially successful.
The dumb, funny thing about this that someone pointed out, I think it was Rami Ismail, who pointed it out on Twitter, was that they uploaded the video with no age rating or no unsuitable content. Like, they literally went against the whole reason they fucking met up at the meeting.
There isn't even a warning beforehand. It just goes straight
to
mature
rating on any
a Call of Duty death.
It's like, could you be any stupider at all? Just this whole farcical farcical nature of all of it is just ridiculous. Ugh.
We're in the farcical time. We're in the farce
Why have
timeline.
I had to do this 3 podcasts in a row? Why do you subject me to this and you're the Americans? Come on, guys. Why?
Hey, Matt, do you have any thoughts about this controversial and contentious topic?
Oh, absolutely not. I am
God
okay
damn it.
sitting right over here in this
I
nice
had a
clean
little-
corner.
I am ashamed to admit that when I heard you say the word absolutely, I was like,
Matt really
and then
does
you said
have-
not.
Matt
And I was just like, oh.
Matt actually does have a lot of opinions. It's just that he's been on the internet for long enough to know to keep his trap shut.
Don't.
Whereas
Yeah,
I-
you've
My
learned your
mouth
lesson.
shut.
I don't think me and Liam have learned our lesson yet.
No. I can't help it. The guy's a fucking idiot, and this is just
Don't forget.
like going back to it. It's just a deflection from gun control. It's literally
Right.
a deflection. It's a fucking smoke and mirror act. Nothing will come out of this meeting. Nothing will change. Trump's a dumbass. The video's fucking dumb. The people who attended the meeting were not representative of video games, and they were just people who didn't know anything about video games. They just don't like them, so they criticize them because they don't. It's the same old fucking story about people who just don't know shit about something, so they automatically dislike it. Oh, it must be bad for you. It's got guns and shit in it. It's like, for fuck's sakes. There are so many countries that play violent video games that don't have the sort of shit you have in your country. The reason is because we don't have any fucking guns, not video games.
I hope that what I'm about to say is not so contentiously political that it causes a huge divide in our audience that results in infighting and shit flinging. But drum roll, watch out! I'm about to say something real spicy. Hey kids, don't forget to vote in the primaries, or midterms coming up this November. It's real important. Just vote. That's all. Anyways, hey.
I would. Have you guys ever watched NRA TV? I would love for Trump to watch some of that.
They have a channel?
They have a channel, and there's a
No
lot
way.
of like marketing towards.
Take back the truth? That's their tagline?
There's a lot of like selling.
That's creepy.
Getting like Americans worried that there might be a war coming. Arm yourselves. Like, if you watch, like, I don't know if people really like or dislike John Oliver, but he always does some like good stuff on like certain topics, and he has one on NRTV, and it like shows a bunch of clips. And of course, you could just go watch it. Of course, if you have cable, as well.
I can't. I did not know this was a thing. Wow, I just Googled it, and I am
Yeah.
surprised to find out that the NRA has like a propaganda news channel.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Yeah. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it there. If people listening don't know about the NRTV, it might be a good laugh. Go ahead and watch that.
I don't know. It might be a bad sigh as well. If your reaction, I guess, is like mine.
Yeah.
And Liam's, we had like a sigh in sync just then.
I'm just so done with talking about this fucking idiot. Like if you support Trump, like that's fine, right? Like
Just remember to go vote if you do. But if you
no,
don't remember
if
to
you
don't
do
forget to
support
vote
Trump,
either.
Do forget to vote because you know.
No, I don't want to say it like
Then your
that.
video games won't be taken away from you for the dumbest reason in the world, which is to protect people who make
I don't think
video
this is going to
games.
happen.
To
We have
make-
the
who make guns.
Supreme Court 2012 ruling that establishes video games as protected free speech. I'm pretty sure is going to overrun any like executive action or congressional bill limiting the sale of them to minors. You can't limit the sale of books and newspapers to minors on a federal level. This is all store policy. And in the states, I think that legal precedent established by the Supreme Court is unfucking alterable for a very, very long time.
To be fair, though,
Unless some other law changes that decides that protected speech can actually be censored, then I doubt anything is going to happen from this meeting that won't result in only short-term gripes.
at least Trump didn't watch your latest video, George. because otherwise video games would have straight up been fucking banned for age ratings just being too confusing for his brain.
Well, if you watch my video, they'll be way less confusing and far more clear to an hopefully more informed audience who knows what pisses off different cultures differently, even though it's still a fucking mess.
We're having a Trump ban.
We got... adult, cross your fingers. They could try something.
No.
This story may not be over yet.
Oh my god.
So we got good questions this week, though.
Oh, yay. Good people.
Aubrey
Not
G
idiots.
wants to talk.
But wait a
about
minute. Valve is making games. They're going to make Portal 3. They're going to make Half-Life 3.
Yeah, there's some drumming of fan hype because Gabe Newell has a quote where he says, "Hooray! Valve's gonna start shipping games again." When talking about a fucking card game for Dota.
To be fair, though, that card game does look pretty sweet. I have fallen
And-
so hard back into Magic the Gathering in the past 2 weeks that I was reading up on, what is it called? Artifact, whatever it's called.
Artifact, yeah.
I was like looking at it and I was like, oh boy, I might play that. That looks pretty cool.
And there's also the rumors from last year of the 3 big VR games that they're supposedly developing, which are supposed to become like killer apps for the platform.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna risk myself getting hyped until I see footage of that stuff.
Can you imagine if
But,
Half-Life 3 was a VR only experience?
I think that would actually do it. I think that would be VR's killer app that would break it through to the mainstream. But
I've been
Half-Life 3
waiting.
is.
And like the 5.2 with the higher resolution screen and everything, they want to make sure that it's the best experience. They don't want to rush that out. It's probably going to be super crisp. It's going to be
That was a popular theory, like a fan prediction for them to hold off on Half-Life as a VR launch killer app title. But like you said earlier, Liam, VR's been out for 3 years. And also we had the Epistle 3 leak. So I don't know how important any plans for any Half-Life games are to them. I mean, we live in a world where Hunt Down the Freeman just came out. So whatever games they have planned, I'm actually more likely expecting new IPs or Portal something. Portal seems like a good Play-Doh franchise for them to make demos for whatever out of. Anyways,
How did they get away with that shit?
I'm trying to find out actually.
Well, we'll wait another video.
Yeah. Oh, there's the hammer again, my buddy, my neighbors. Yeah, man, your apartment renovation is so worth ruining my podcast. Because they're contractors. It's their job to hammer on the wall. They're renovating someone's apartment.
The same way back.
That'll be rude and it won't solve the problem.
Wow, they're going well at it.
I want to point out to the listeners, I'm not actually knocking back. That's just Matt incriminating me with evidence that he's fabricating. So we got some letters. If you got some letters, you can mail them to dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com. Until then, though, let's read off some. Aubrey G wants to talk about the value of art held within the game. Oh my fucking god, I'm gonna jump out of...
To be
Aubrey G asks,
to be fair, we might have to edit that out for that one guy who might crash a car.
Right, I was just thinking about that. Just thinking of swerving. Who's hitting my car?
Oh my god, fine, I'll put a timestamp there. Okay, an hour and 10 minutes in, I might edit, if it's even freaking possible, edit to prevent car crashes. Cool. All right, Aubrey, back to you. Quote, was
Yay,
George's
Aubrey.
main problem with Rockstar Games the fact that they were iterative of movies that came before, or the fact that Rockstar was influenced by movies at all? I have a feeling it's the former, but I'm still not sure what you mean when you said defining video games on their own terms.
Now I can't really tell if that's Matt or just a joke.
No, that's George. I've stopped.
It's my apartment. It's my neighbor renovating their apartment next to my apartment, and it's the contractors tearing out floorboards and putting in new floorboards or something.
Doesn't he know he lives next to the world famous YouTuber Super Bunny Hub, who might very well be recording audio?
World famous.
They don't. The less people know where I live, the better. Anyways.
I liked Matt's slight by just repeating it deadpan. Ay.
So Aubrey, back to your question that we've changed topics from like 3 times. I believe that your prediction is correct. My main problem with these Rockstar games that parrot the movies is that there's no way their writing stacks up to the movies they're inspired by. And I almost wish they were more inspired than parroted. Like it's always fun to like point out which games are unofficial versions of which movies. Like Capcom's Dead Rising is totally Dawn of the Dead the game. But it's like different enough to be its own, to avoid copyright and be its own IP, but it channels a lot of the appeal of that movie in a way that maybe an officially licensed Rush Western developed zombie game with the Dawn of the Dead branding wouldn't be able to do. In fact, I think there was a Dawn of the Dead movie tie-in game for the 2004 remake that was freaking awful and way worse than Dead Rising. Whereas Rockstar games seem like they're pushing the copyright envelope a lot less hard. San Andreas is Boys in the Hood the game. It's still got fun writing. GTA 4 is Eastern Promises the game. LA Noire is Chinatown the game. And like the going from the Dawn of the Dead of the game into Dead Rising, you see a lot of stuff get lost and translated over into both a cultural Japanese perspective of that zombie movie as well as just like really high quality, high talented teams making the game, when a lot of GTA missions in Rockstar games are rushed the fuck out. So I guess it's complicated and confusing and changes and depends on the game, but you're still mostly on the same page anyway.
Well, I think a lot of
They're
AAA...
just following trends.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of AAA comes from the fact that a lot of AAA can be cinematic, and cinematic in video games is directly lifted from movies. Like, it's cinematography, it's inspirations from other things that you've seen, like shots or poses or set pieces that have just appeared in movies or TV shows.
Speaking of which, I mean, Metal Gear Solid is totally like Escape from New York, the game, but it's
MGS3
removed
is
far
like...
enough to define itself on its own terms, and I don't know if Rockstar games are quite removed far enough to accomplish that.
Everyone knows
maybe
Rockstar is based on... Rockstar games are based on, you know, pop culture movies. You know, Heat. GTA 5 is Heat, essentially, and stuff like that. Yeah.
And they have very long, self-serious stories in ways that the wacky Japanese stuff, except for Metal Gear, tend to not focus as much on.
But I think
I think that's the thing. They get up their own ass sometimes, these Rockstar games. I'm wagging my finger.
Does that take away from the artistic value of something? Like, I think that's kind of what Aubrey's
I don't know
asking.
if I want to quantify artistic value, though.
Whoa, holy shit.
That got louder.
Hey! Man, they're like right overhead now at this point.
I can't tell what's worse, Kyle's bird or your hammering. I can't tell.
No, the bird was sweet. You know, it's like it being inside of a Disney movie. This is it's not. It's no good.
It's no good.
1 hour, 13 minutes, 58 seconds. More hammering happens.
Just leave that in.
Or just put it at the start of the podcast. Just before the intro.
Are we good with that question, or do we want to move on?
We can move on. I just
Mark L asks, what do you think of games that take a while to get going? Liam made me think about it in a comment he made when he said he never did go back to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I got that game about a month ago, and it definitely felt like a slog for those first 10 hours. Is it something that puts you off trying a game or not?
It doesn't put me off trying a game, but it definitely puts me off sticking with a game, for sure. Especially, I just don't have the time. Like, it's the cliche old fucking thing about being an adult. I just don't have the time. Like, when I was a kid, I could fucking stick with an RPG and go with it forever. And there are people out there who like that kind of thing, and they stick with it, and they'll play one game through to the end, and it'll take them like 6 months or whatever. Whereas there are just so many good games out there, and like, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 might be the best fucking game ever, but if it takes me 80 hours to get to that point, it's kind of like in that 80 hours, I could have played like Celeste, Into the Breach, and like all Monster Hunter, and just all of the games that have like come out already. It's a matter of time, I think, with this comment now. If a game's bad, the game's bad, then I might not play it anyway. But if it takes a while to get going, it definitely affects my ability to stick with it.
Yeah, I agree.
If that's the case, this is something that'll like repel me both from trying it out and from sticking with it. Like, it's one of my least favorite things about many video games, or just the medium in general sometimes, is what a huge time investment it is.
Yeah. Like, if, for instance, a movie was very boring, I'll just walk out. Just kind of like Black Panther, just kind of walk out.
You see,
but with the game, sometimes you got to slog to get to go through the ups and the downs.
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to say. That's weird, because with movies, like if I'm in the cinema, I'll just enjoy it. The 2 hours. I've already committed to the 2 hours. I'm going to be there. I'm fine with it.
Committed the money too.
Yeah, but in terms of like an RPG, even if I've committed the money, if I've played like 8 hours of it, and I'm kind of like,
it depends. If you're dropping at 60, then best believe I'm finishing that thing. I'm finishing all of it.
I just feel like, I made a mistake getting this, but I at least got a flavor
made a mistake.
of it.
That's like something you say after you buy The Legend of Korra. It's like, I made a mistake.
It's like I got the flavor for it. I can talk a little bit about it. Maybe I'll go back to it if someone mentions it, or someone's like, hey, it definitely does get good and it is worth the wait. And then if it's kind of like average, or kind of just like a good game. Like, yeah,
I haven't even freaking played Persona yet. And
now that's a game.
I hear such good things. It's one of like the most revered JRPG series ever. And it's all because when I go to howlongtobeat.com and type in Persona, I see very, very high numbers.
But that's a game that sits in a different category. I think a lot of people would agree. That's a game that overstays its welcome. Like, stick with it and you will get such good parts out of it. But it doesn't end after the good parts. It just keeps going and going and going, and then it ends.
Nobody got time for that.
And yeah, it's like I've already had the highs of this game. Like, this game has reached like the highest like an RPG can reach, but it's not ended, and I have to finish it because I've committed so much time. But yeah, that one's a weird category, I think.
We got a question from Jason S. for Liam specifically. Jason S. is in Japan right now these days.
Oh, hey, Jason
He
S.
says, Kansai Gaidai is actually near Osaka, so I wanted to ask Liam if there are any interesting things to do around here that he'd recommend.
Well, if he's talking about Kansai,
Osaka.
If he's talking about Kansai Gaidai University, which is the only thing I know called Kansai Gaidai, well, that's super far out in like places like Ibaraki and Takutsuki outside of Osaka Center. So pretty much I have no fucking idea that far out. You can get the train into Osaka and go to Shinsaibashi and go to Denden Town and
you could go to the Snake Cafe in Denden Town.
Can you just spell out
Amerikamura.
Everything you just said? Just spell it out for him. Yeah.
Shinsaibashi Denden Town. Like, how easy do you... I think this is
he
more
probably
for you,
just
Matt.
moved over there and he's just like, what?
Well, I don't
Okay,
know. No. The dude's like going to Kansai Gaidai. That's a university. So he must be like exchange, like Japanese exchange or something. He'll be fine. But like, no, I would say just go into Osaka. Like, if you live, half an hour out or something, just go into the center. Go to Amerikamura, go to Shinsaibashi, Dotonbori, Denden Town. Explore places outside of Osaka, like Kobe and Nara and Kyoto, Tennoji and stuff like that. Yeah, there's loads to do. It's Japan. Go wild, kid.
So thank you, Liam. Jason S. also has a part 2. He wants to talk about bad fan bases. Whenever someone talks about things like Undertale, League of Legends, Overwatch, or the like, I find it's immediately prefaced by, quote, avoid the fan base, quote. It seems to me that things with cancerous fan bases, sorry, I had to like shudder a bit when I said those words, are those with the widest appeal and therefore largest fan bases. These inevitably attract the strangely obsessive people. I personally like Undertale and Steven Universe, both to a certain what I would call healthy point, and I find it hard to even mention those without fearing that I'll be stereotyped against. I don't post things on the internet often, so I'm only referring to real life encounters. Do you guys have a similar problem with some things that you enjoy? I feel like this can be applied to anime as a whole as well.
Of course we can.
God, my cackle today.
There's like a difference. Like, yeah, sure, League of Legends. There's a little bit of cancer in there. There's a little bit of cancer in there. But things like Undertale and Steven Universe and even Rick and Morty, it's just people really like the series, and then other people disagree, so they make it cancerous by saying stupid stuff like, "Oh, it's not that good." Blah blah blah. No, it's amazing. And they, the freaks out there who, they have a whole room filled with, the rainbow of
Sans Undertale.
Yeah. They get a little crazy or whatnot, and I feel like the majority people, not just the comments that you see on the internet, are regular people who like something or dislike something, and they move on. Some people just love to
negative voices
rile on people and get people riled up. Like, forget those guys. Like, who cares about those guys?
Negative voices are always the loudest. Like, negative voices are always the loudest. And, like, think of a fan base that doesn't have, like, a crazy community behind it. Like, whether it's, like, Hearthstone or,
anything
Rick and Morty, like any anime series ever, anime in general, even TV shows like Marvel films. Me and Matt shit talk each other about Marvel all the time. But most regular people just fucking move on, and they enjoy or don't enjoy something, and they're like, well, I have an opinion about it, but unless it's with friends, I'll tend to keep it to myself. I don't think fan bases, or fanboys, as I was going to say,
fanboyses,
stops me from enjoying anything, because I tend not to just not engage with people. And I don't particularly care, as you could probably tell by the fact that I talk shit about stuff on this show all the time. Like, just don't engage with it and just enjoy what you enjoy. Like, if you enjoy Rick and Morty, just don't go screaming on a McDonald's counter that you want like Szechuan sauce and stuff.
Oh my god!
Just don't do that. I've
never
the episode be like, that was good fun, and then that's
move
fine.
on with
I've never managed to have a fan base retroactively turn something bad. I still like Rick and Morty. I'm not gonna not like Rick and Morty because some fans are assholes. However, part of this message that I do resonate with is the one where they say, I find it hard to even mention these without fearing that I'll be stereotyped against. And guess what? I don't want to mention to people that I'm into.
What?
Drop a bombshell.
YouTube itself.
Oh yeah, of course.
I when I was at Gamescom last year, I met up with another YouTuber, and we ended up getting dinner and talked about YouTube, and they did not like me using the word YouTuber. At some point I was like, thanks for having dinner, fellow YouTuber, and they were like, ugh. And now, after the 2, now 3, potentially 4 Logan Paul scandals, I fucking feel that. I don't introduce myself as a YouTuber anymore. I try to beat around that bush a bit, because I fear that mentioning it will have me become stereotyped against.
Yeah, there is definitely a negative connotation to the word YouTuber.
Ugh.
Yeah. You could dive so deep into that. I'm just kidding. But we don't have enough time for that.
Do you guys have any more comments, or shall we move to the next one?
Let's gently move on.
All right, Ramblers, let's get rambling. The Modern Pygmalion asks, oh, that's a streaming regular. Do you ever regret incorporating your real name and likeness into your online brand? As funny as George Socks may be, I imagine that the constant management of your public persona must be tiring at times, and the constant stream of speculation, false rumors, bad faith arguments, personal attacks, and sycophancy must be especially nauseating. With this in mind, do you ever wish that you could just go by Bunny Hop and have the fanged rabbit in your logo be the channel's public face? Also, have you had any distressing encounters with fans who have developed parasocial relationships with you, and how have you dealt with them? Jesus Christ, that's a loaded question, and the answer to, like, all of those is yes, but I can't go into detail about any of them, because those fans might be able to know who they are.
Oh, no!
Shouldn't we just name and shame anyway?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
I don't want to ruin anyone's day. I like my fans. But there's been a few instances where a few fans have taken things way too far. Fans that haven't been like the greatest at social reading or like understanding the abstract rituals of social cues and implications that we oftentimes take for granted. But yeah, I don't know if I regret using the public license thing at all. Yeah, the first part of your question, I don't know if I feel that, but again, like Aubrey's question, or no, Jason's question rather, I definitely feel the second part where there's been many instances of awkward encounters with awkward fans who just wanted to meet up and have fun, but gradually took things to a weird place later that resulted in awkward confrontations. I believe I've told one story about this on the Co-optional podcast. And I feel like this is the one story where the line had been crossed so very far that I might be allowed to tell it again.
Okay.
Have you guys heard about Airport Girl?
No.
So I was going to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and I changed planes in Denver on the way. And in Denver, this was last year after Denver had legalized some substances that aren't legal elsewhere. And while in Denver, I thought, what the hell?
George.
I'll just do what's legal in Denver while I'm here in Denver for a few hours for a layover. So I go to a dispensary and get a Denver brownie, and eat it a good like half an hour to an hour before the plane takes off. And when the plane starts going, I'm really feeling it. But before then, I was giggly while waiting on the plane, and I saw a sign to my next stop that said Portland, or. And I took a picture of that sign and tweeted, Portland, or what?
Wow.
It was funny at the time, okay, guys? So anyways, I feel my organs jiggle around on this plane for a while and sit and take a nap, and then I get off. And when I'm walking down the escalator at the Portland airport, I'm perfectly fine. The brownie had worn off. And I see a girl holding a piece of notebook paper that says Super Bunny Hop on it.
Whoa!
And I'm on the phone with my mom, and I tell her, oh, I think I gotta go. And then I look slightly to the left, and I see my good friend, who I will not name to save everyone's face from this situation, from humiliation. But I see my good friend who I was going to meet up with, who was going to take me back to their house to stay while I stayed in Portland, like rush over and like wave me away. Whereas Airport Girl says, hey, are you George from Super Bunny Hop? And me, an Airport Girl, and my actual Portland contact all have the most awkward conversation of our lives for a good 6 to 8 minutes. So what Airport Girl had evidently done was looked at the gate on that picture I tweeted of Portland when I thought it was so funny, and looked up a schedule, a timetable by the gate to find out what flight I was on, to know when to arrive at the airport and wait on me, because she wanted to meet up.
Yes, she did.
When I got off of that plane and was checking my tweet notifications, I noticed there was one from someone who was like, hey, Super Bunny Hop, you want to meet up while you're in Portland, with the picture of that sign the girl was holding. And then I looked like And then I called my phone and saw that sign in person a bit further down the airport.
Ooh.
And it was incredibly surreal. And that's... I hope that answers your question.
Wow. At least you didn't think that you were a nostalgia critic. Like
Oh yeah, that was a perfectly fine funny encounter. One time at MomoCon, a girl came up to me thinking I was the nostalgia critic because I had my goatee on at the time.
I mean, if you did wear glasses and a beret, you could definitely pass as him for sure.
Sometimes I wear glasses.
She did not believe.
I'm
when
a
we
little
said,
fuzzy.
No, he's not nostalgia critic, and she was like,
Oh yeah, she stayed. She wanted to confirm.
she was like,
People are crazy. Like if you
her
just
eyes
said to her,
squinted,
"Hey, look,
and she
I'm
was just
not."
like, no.
What did you do? Google a photo of him and be like, look, this man is clearly not this guy.
No, we just had to repeat it about 3 more times, and I think she got it.
Maybe she had to like squint a bit.
Yeah.
Like nostalgia critic is definitely more narrow than me. Like maybe I'll look like nostalgia
George got a
critic
little
at
bit
the end
more
of summer after.
thickness to him.
Yeah, gotta work out a bit to make my disguise complete. So
Well,
next question, or are
Airport
we gonna
girl.
like boil a bit more in that one?
Well, I don't want to ask the questions I want to ask, so I'm just gonna. I want to keep the lady listeners listening to us, the 2 that listen to our podcast. So go ahead.
What if one of them is Airport Girl? Oh, anyways. Jippawop says, you've been talking about
Jippawop.
anime for a while, and it reminds me of a quasi-problem I got from the Super Best Friends podcast. I heard them talk about Fist of the North Star and JoJo's Bizarre Adventures and eventually got around to watching those, and they were pretty good. But when I go over the plot in my head, I kept hearing the best friends' voices, and I can't separate them from the experience now. Do you guys have this happen with Metal Gear and George? What a good-ass question, because I can't believe I do the same thing when I think about JoJo.
What do you hear? The Super Best Friends as well?
Yeah, I've heard them talk about JoJo so fucking much that whenever I hear the word JoJo, it is spoken inside of my head with one of their voices. Any one of the like 4, like just interchangeable.
I don't think Metal Gear does it for me, but Kojima. When I hear the word Kojima, I'm like, George is like, boom, like Metal Gear exclamation mark alert sound. It's like I just picture
That
George
is so
head,
precious.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
I wonder what George is doing now.
I'm still
Probably.
thinking about the eye patch over your like messed up eye right now.
From that Chairman video we filmed at your old house.
Right. Like when your phone rings, do you have like the Metal Gear sound coming up?
No, because people who do that out themselves as gamer scum in public.
happens all the time where I work, and I'm like,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm hearing, I'm like, oh. I always do a little voice, be like,
Didn't?
Snake, yeah, and then they like turn around and I like hide around an aisle.
I wonder if I can like do Snake right now. Press the select button. Not quite. My voice is still not quite there. I'm sorry. I
I
have
need a little bit more throat
laryngitis.
juice, George.
Need to drink
Goggle
lots
some
of
throat
fluids
juice.
and stay in bed for one more day.
General, I have a disgusting eye infection, and I need to wear an eye patch.
Oh my fucking god! I almost I was at a sushi restaurant when I noticed that I felt a crust on my eye, and I went to the bathroom and was like,
George.
"Holy shit!" Sorry, it was sorry.
Someone for definite, like someone for absolute definite. The way numbers, the probability of numbers works, that someone is eating sushi listening to this right now. The way
It wasn't the
probability of
sushi
numbers
that made
works.
me sick. I was sick before. It's just that was where I noticed the symptoms starting.
Yeah, but someone
And
will
then
be
George
eating
gave a
sushi
little
now.
squeeze, and then a little bit of a little
I
bit of
have,
wasabi
I
came
have
out.
tried diligently to make sure I'm in public as little as possible right now.
George, put
little
an eye patch
wasabi.
on.
for that
The,
sushi.
the one time I've had to go out, I have brought ample hand sanitizer wipes with me. The people of Atlanta, I hope you have your faith in me to not spread this zombie virus I've got. We don't have a good history for that, though.
The chef's like, did you get wasabi in your eye? Like, what's going on? That's not where it
No,
goes.
it's just bacterial conjunctivitis.
That's not where it goes.
That's all.
It sounds.
You
All I have to
Americans
do
are so
is
crazy.
take these antibiotic eye drops for like every 4 hours, 2 drops.
Is it a spray?
Um,
Or is it like one of those things where you have to like open the crust and drop it in
Come on,
there?
can we stop saying the word crust? I fucking like pie. Come on.
Like
Well, what
pizza crust.
about eye dropping? I think this is what hell is. Hell must be requiring eye drops every 4 minutes for all eternity. Because it's
hate eye
like,
drops.
it doesn't hurt, but my bodily reflexes do not allow me to drop an eye drop gracefully.
You ever wonder why I don't wear contacts? It's because of eye drops. I hate it. I hate it.
God, they're the
I keep
worst.
blinking every time the drop comes to my eye. I'm like, no, my eye just doesn't want it. Doesn't want to be.
Robitussin is fine. Cough syrup is fine. If I have to take a suppository, I demand some time to myself and some privacy. But if I got to do eye drops, then we're having a fucking talk.
Oh my god, I wear contacts to play sports, and I've been doing it for so long, I could literally just hold my finger on my open eye. No
Gross.
problem.
That's a problem.
Oh, I'm the fucking gross one. We're talking about dude who has a fucking eye infection, and I'm the gross one. Come on.
Gross.
It's not an eye infection. It's a
Gross.
symptom of the common cold.
It's an eye infection. You're crusting.
It's bacterial
you're crusting at the eye.
conjunctivitis. It might actually be technically an eye infection, but I think
I'm
my
half
eyeballs
tempted.
themselves are fine. I think it's the lid around it.
I'm
But
half
anyways,
tempted. I'm half tempted to request a photo to go in the show notes.
hell no. It looked gross. And for what it's worth, it actually was pretty
Make sure
fixed
you
itself
get your
pretty good.
apartment number in that photo.
And my social security list of fears, moments in which I'm out of the house, moments in which I sleep in the house.
Which airport gate you're at right now?
Oh my god, airport girl, please don't assassinate me for spreading the story.
She's probably so embarrassed. She's like, oh, I just wanted to meet my favorite YouTuber.
Yeah, it was, the worst part of that conversation was the moment, 3 seconds in, when she realized this was not appropriate behavior.
Well, at least she realized though.
You could tell. You could see the look on her face turn from a excited smile into the worst cringe possible. The moment that she realized what she had actually done.
And now
Oh, it was bad. Oh, it was bad.
you should. Did you give her at least a hug and say it's okay? You just
Pretty much. That's pretty much how the conversation went. Everyone involved was just cringing and shaking their head and being like, "Yeah, okay,
This happened.
okay, yeah."
See,
Oh,
if
it
I
was
was
so
there,
awkward.
I would have smoothed it, man. You gotta smooth it. You gotta.
We made the best of it. I think we worked it out.
Now you just embarrassed her worldwide. Someone will know who she is.
Yeah, world famous
Super Bunny
podcast
Hop.
show right here.
Yeah.
World famous.
Yeah.
I've told this story on a more popular podcast before, and to the best of
Excuse
my
me.
knowledge, Airport Girl.
What did you just fucking say, George?
You better
No, and
shut
the,
your dirty
the
mouth.
co-optional. Okay, fine.
Shut
I
your
told
dirty
this
eye.
story on the second most popular podcast on iTunes, which is just underneath us.
Who needs Total Biscuit when you got that visual?
We need to change the podcast to world famous Bunny Hop Show.
Well, no, world famous Dad and Sons.
Oh yes, that's right.
Dad and
Sometimes-
Son's : the punny, the
Sometimes with Bunny Hop.
the punny hop pun.
Sometimes.
So that's our podcast.
You
Yep.
just got a gross ass pirate most of the time.
Ba-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba.
Ba-ba-ba-dum.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba.
Oh, that's right. Oh, there's music here. I keep forgetting that. People don't know that it's just quiet. It's just quiet over here when we're it's just dead. Yeah, right now George is off beat. I don't know if he does some clever editing to make him sound like he's on beat, but he's off beat right now.
1 hour, 39 minutes. Do clever editing. Okay.